Hey, what's up, y'all?
What's going on, good people? You are with us on another Relationship Thursday, and you know what? It's going to be a good one. And I say that just about every time, don't I? Don't I say that all the time? Because every time it's a good one. And
Yeah,
so we're welcoming you, whether you're watching us for the first time or you're watching us for the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh, or however many times you've watched us, whether you're a newbie or whether you are watching a replay, we welcome you and we salute you, because anybody who shows up on our live stream is about their business.
Absolutely.
What's
up, Brian, bro?
Are about their business. You know what I'm saying? Brian, let me tell you something. Brian, on YouTube, this brother stays committed. We come, you know what I'm saying? We're not always that consistent with our time.
I mean, I did put a post out on Facebook saying that we were going to be a little bit delayed.
You know, we're a little delayed this evening, so we've been struggling to kind of get on. Brian stays in the house, so we appreciate you.
We appreciate that.
You know, I can't shout out Brian on YouTube without shouting out Fine29 on Facebook.
What's up, sis?
Facebook. My sister is always here for it. I know her man will probably be on in a little bit.
Bruce.
See Shavannah and I see Robert Morris. I want y'all to let us know where you representing, where you coming from. Where are you? Where you be in the world? I see you, Carol. Evening to you. What's up, Aisha?
What's up?
And Marjani checking in from East Orange, New Jersey. All right. This is good, y'all. Tonight, we're gonna be talking about teamwork. I mean, let me tell you something. My husband and my children have been so focused on basketball. It's over now.
It's over. Yes, it's over.
Thank you, Lord.
I'm not too happy about it, but I'm glad Golden State won. I'm definitely glad Golden State won.
I was like asking like every night, like, is it another game tonight?
I should have came out tonight with a soft cash.
I can't even catch up. I need you with your kids, because I'm like, I don't even know like how to like.
Everybody hurting out here. Everybody hurting with the soft cash.
You're going on LeBron, right?
I'm going on LeBron.
You're going on LeBron. But tonight we're talking about being a teammate. Are you a worthy teammate in your marriage? Are you a team player? Are you real selfish though? Like how many only children? How many only childs? That ain't even proper grammar. How many people it was just you? So it's hard for you to kind of stretch yourself and extend yourself. Or maybe you were in a family of many and you tired of sharing. And so you just a suck ass teammate. You know what I'm saying? Like you just don't do a good job. But tonight we're going to talk about what it requires to be in a good, successful relationship and a healthy marriage if you find yourself in that category. Because my husband and I, we are a team.
We are.
Are we not?
We definitely are.
We have developed these skills over the years. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I've been a shiesty team member.
Yeah.
And sometimes you've been a fake team member.
Really? A fake one?
A fake one.
That's how you going?
You know what I'm saying? Just a pretend one. I'm like, this is what you say, but this is not what you do, my brother. And so we want tonight for you all to kind of put your hat to the back, and I want you to think about your relationship, whether you're in one currently or whether you're referencing relationships from the past. And I want you to think about your relationship from the perspective of, teamwork. It's easy for us, I think. I don't know if it's easy, but it's easier for us to think about teamwork when we think about being on the job, when we think about being a part of a sports team. You think about being in the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, you know what I'm saying? Like just anything.
Rites of Passage organization.
You're trying to raise money at church, right? Like we understand the team concept, and we understand that everybody has a responsibility and a contribution that they need to make regardless of how they feel. Right? And in the marriage and in a relationship, a lot of times we are really focused on what the hell we feel. Well, I'm not feeling that. I know, and you're supposed to make me feel better and come attend to me. And I'm not in agreement with you. And we don't recognize when we need to be on team mode. Sometimes we just need to execute what needs to happen so that we can move our relationship forward, because it's really not about us. It's about what we're building. So I want to shout out Chicago and Taylor Divine from Chicago. And this is T. Wormley. Yay!
What's up, sis?
What's up? We love you. We love you. Been keeping you in prayer. Love you.
No game 7, still shot. Laugh out loud.
I'm still happy. I was like, yes, no more games. Danielle from the ATL. And guess what? Aisha is watching from Peoria, Illinois. And Aisha grew up as an only child. I have to shout out my sis Shay. Shay Taylor is always in the house. And so I do want to know, are you only child? Are you a sibling? How many siblings do you have? I got Stephanie. She's always on this joint. Stephanie Maxwell holds it down. And I appreciate you, Stephanie, representing Philly. And then, of course, we have Charlisha from Hampton. And we have our sister, Letice Moore Hammond. Letice, we see you. And yes, we had a graduate today, y'all. Our son, next to the youngest, Adaye, he graduated today from elementary school and he's moving on to middle school. Y'all, next year, I'm going to have him in the 6th grade. Then I'm going to have my daughter, my middle child, in the 7th grade. Then I'm going to have my oldest daughter in the 8th grade, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And our oldest son will be graduating from high school next year. Yeah. You know, and then we got little Allende. And he'll be, coming on in from the rear, coming on into being 3.
Parents were there. My parents were there at the promotion ceremony, and they were pointing out the trophies. And Allende, he was fascinated. He's our baby boy. He was fascinated with the trophies.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
And so my father was like, you're gonna get one of those one of these days. And I was thinking to myself, like,
it's a long way away.
That's a long way away. It's a long way away to get one of them trophies, y'all. We gotta put in some time.
Let me tell you something, just to give you some perspective. I always said we wanted to have all of our children by the time I was what? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Barbara, come on now. We had all of our 4 children before this new little surprise by the time we were 30. And I said I wanted to have all of our kids by the time we were 30 because, we still be young. When you get a little bit, older and they're moving on, you're still young.
Yeah.
And then our new baby came and I was like, ooh. So, it is what it is. But again, I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I want to shout out Carol White in Columbia, South Carolina. Carol, thank you for joining us yet again. And Robert Morris, I see you, my brother. And Shavannah, I think we might have already said your name, but I want to make sure that we acknowledge you. And Tiffany, you've been showing up, Miss Walker. You've been showing up, so I appreciate you, and I appreciate Angela in South Carolina, and so many more. And I cannot go another moment without shouting out my sis Tamika Dent, because she is a true sister who's about growth and about getting knowledge. So let's get this knowledge tonight. We're talking about teamwork. Go ahead, baby.
Let's
take it away.
Let's get it started, y'all. But before we get started, let me just say this really quickly. My name is Ayize. This wife is my lovely wife, Kiana Mai. We're both licensed therapists. And even though we're therapists, we always say every time it's a disclaimer, this right here is not therapy. This ain't therapy, y'all. This is information, edutainment, infotainment, whatever you want to call it, with a slight psychotherapy spin to it. And so again, check us out on our website.
I don't like when you be saying that.
I think it's entertainment.
I know it might be entertainment. Do y'all think this is entertainment? I hope that y'all think this is more entertainment. You ain't just like, let me get my popcorn so I can be entertained. I hope that you take something that we say. I do have a degree. He does have a degree. We do have licenses. And we just trying to make sure that we put out the proper disclaimers. But at the end of the day, this is some real stuff. And it's not just about us. The knowledge I'll be dropping on here is serious. And you can take some real good stuff to your family and to your life. But wait a minute. Pause. Hold up. Pause for a second. Cheryl Brister Wilson. I see you, my sister. What's going on? I have to always shout out Cheryl. We're kindred spirits, and I see you, even when I don't see you a lot, because I'm kind of like, I've been kind of off the grid for a little bit, but I'm about to get on the grid again, y'all. I just want to shout you out and give thanks for you. All right,
y'all. So we can go ahead and get this thing started.
I didn't know Tanisha is the oldest out of 4. Okay, we're getting some good background tonight.
You finished with your shout outs?
Okay, yeah. You ready to move on?
Okay,
yeah. I like to shout out my people.
Yeah, we got to. Let's go ahead and jump into this content. Hey, and for those people who don't know us, we are married. We've been married now for 16 years. We got 5 wonderful children. We've been together since high school, y'all, for 23 years now. So we got history. So all of the stuff that we share is based off of our experience, but also our professional experience as well. All right, so what we're going to be talking about tonight, you all, is really looking into what it means to be a good teammate in your marriage. And this is really critical because when it comes to being in a relationship, it's not easy. Raise your hand, give us some hearts if you agree that being in a relationship is not easy. Let me see the hearts, y'all. You put 2 hands up? Really? You want to put your toes up too?
Yes.
Let us know. Who in here agrees that being in a relationship is not easy?
Because our flow sometimes is so effortless and we are so in sync with each other and you're my best friend and all that, at times, it's kind of like this thing is kind of easy because I mean, if there's anybody who I can flow with, it's my boo. And that's the kind of connection that we have. But sometimes, it can get kind of rough. And you remember when we went to Massanutten? That was a different space.
You keep on bringing that up.
You
brought that up last week, and you're bringing it up right now. I think you might.
And it was like, oh, where is this? And I share that, because I'm just sharing it, but also share that because I ought to know that, we've been together for some time, but even in your relationship where you feel like your boo like the back of your hand, right? There are going to be different opportunities and different places of growth and where you evolve, you're changing, you're different. You're not the same as you were 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. And you got to make sure you let each other know. You got to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's things that that the other person wouldn't even have any appreciation for because all they know is what they knew. But you're changing and your mind is changing and your heart is changing. Ain't that what's supposed to happen?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? Grown ass woman. And this is a grown ass man right here, and we get more grown as each year goes on. So I guess I just keep bringing that up because I was like, wow, like this is like a moment.
Yeah.
A defining moment. And you're going to have those defining moments, but you have to take advantage of them.
All right. So y'all, before we jump into these 5 points, please share this video if you already haven't done so. I see that we got some people that's already shared it. And again, we're going to be giving you some good information this evening. All right. So the first thing that we want to share, y'all, in terms of being a good teammate in your relationship, the thing that you want to focus on is really the foundation, really the setup. And we're taking some of these pieces from a website, Psychology Today, because we recognize that, of course, we ain't got all the information, but based off of some of the research that's been done, we're able to see information that can be applicable outside of your relationship, but also inside of your relationship too.
Absolutely.
So there's a really good article that's been written up on teamwork on Psychology Today. And so one of the things that they lift up is the foundation, the setup. And they emphasize the initial conditions in your relationship. And so some of y'all have jumped into your relationship, decided to make a commitment, gotten married, and don't even really necessarily know your partner. You don't know your partner. Of course, knowing your partner is a constant process. So you're always evolving. The both of you will always evolve in your understanding of each other. But when it comes to you all being in a relationship, sometimes people prematurely jump into a relationship based off of their past history and the baggage that they got. And so again, you got to examine that foundation. What does the foundation of your relationship look like? And if you look at that foundation and you recognize that you were running from a space of despair, looking to be rescued by a man or a woman, then you can find yourself in a relationship that once that particular need is met, you realize that this really wasn't the person that you need to be in a long-term relationship with. And so that person served a purpose in that moment, but it's not a permanent reality that you need to be stuck in. And so again, you may have jumped into a relationship prematurely because you were experiencing some pain in your relationship. You were experiencing some drama in your life, some stress in your life. And so you needed somebody to hold on to. You needed somebody to cling to. So you want to examine what the basis of your foundation and your relationship is and whether or not you established that thing on solid ground or whether or not it was established on some sand. Examine that thing. Look at your relationship foundation. Look at the initial setup. I may have used this analogy before in the past when I talked about chess, and I equated it to a relationship that you got to make sure that you're always moving a different piece. The opening in your chess game is extremely important. When I was playing chess as a youth, I used to play against my father all the time, and he would spank me up and down the chessboard. Just spank me based off of something that's called a fool's mate. And I had to re-examine my opening because a fool's mate is something that you do that your opponent can do and get you checkmate in like 3 moves. And so what I realized in that experience is that if I just move another piece, if I re-examine the opening and move another piece, if if I find the flaws in the formation, in my formation in the beginning, then what I can do is learn and move another piece and do something different so that I can build on that and establish or reestablish a different reality.
Yeah.
So again, you want to look at the foundation of your relationship, look at the setup, look at the initial conditions, because that's what matters most.
Woo, that was good.
It was good, man.
That was good, boo. That was good. All right, so we moving on to number 2, y'all. We moving to number 2. So number 2. All right, guys. Again, if you are listening and you are viewing us for the first time, the second time, or the 10th time, please share this video. Share. We appreciate all the shares. And drop your comments, drop your questions and your knowledge, and we will continue to pay attention as we move through this session this evening. So look, y'all. Teamwork. That's what we're focusing on if you're just joining us. Teamwork in a relationship and in a marriage. You know, when you're little, you're a little kid. Do you remember? You probably don't remember, but I mean, you got some kids or whatever, right? And you remember when your children were little, you should at least remember that a lot of the focus.
What's up, Naomi?
Naomi is on. Hey, Naomi. A lot of the focus is for children is on cooperation. How do you play with one another? How do you share? Are you being kind? These kinds of basic things. And we understand as adults that we are supposed to be modeling for young children, and we are supposed to be guiding young children as to how they should relate to another person. Mm-hmm. So we don't get all bent out of shape when they're mean, or they say mine, or give it to me, or that's not yours, or they snatch it, because we expect that. And we know that what we're supposed to do is show them how to cooperate with other children. And so I thought this was very interesting. This article also lifted up a multi-year study on team productivity. And it was actually run by Google. And Google looked at their people operations department. And they did this study, and they really wanted to find out, what's the secret of highly functioning teams? Mm-hmm. And we can take what they learned and we can apply this to the couple team.
Absolutely.
We can absolutely apply this to the couple team. And so what they thought at first is that they were going to find some algorithm that would show them the different kinds of people you need on the team. Because, of course, all of us are different. All of us have different strengths and that kind of thing. And so what would be the perfect blend? They thought they would find some perfect blend. But look, they didn't even find that, y'all. That's not what they found to be the defining factor of successful teams. Mm-hmm. Guess what they found? When I read this thing, I was like, oh, man, this is my kind of finding.
And this is Google. This is Google.
This is Google.
Examining algorithms.
Yes.
Looking or thinking that they're going to find something in reference to personality traits and that type of thing. But what did they find, babe?
They found that the condition that matters the most is how team members treat one another. How do they treat one another? And so when they started to really kind of vet that thing out, what they determined that to be is how well do team members create psychological safety for other people. Psychological safety. So you can take this right now. You can think about your partner, right? Because that's what we focus on. You can also think about the job, right? How well are you creating psychological safety for your team members, for your spouse? So that means, do people feel comfortable speaking up and saying what they really feel? Mm-hmm. Can they make a mistake? Can they share a difference of opinion? Are you a runner and you run them over and you are very determined to get what you want and to get your agenda expressed and met? Or are you able to, even when you ain't feeling it, listen to your boo and hear from them? Because when you do that, it's not that you're doing that just because that's the right thing to do in a relationship. Mm-hmm. You're creating a safe space. And people hear us say this all the time. And so that's why I was so excited. Google found that psychological safety created by team members is the defining factor. It is one of the biggest factors to help teams be productive. Mm-hmm. Because when you do that, you automatically push your family unit into a place of cooperation. Again, you can take this and put this anywhere. You automatically push your team. I don't care if you're leading a team at church. I don't care if you're leading a team in your office. When you create a place where people can express themselves, people can talk and share, and everybody feels safe to do so, they can be respected, then and only then will you start to have the kind of cooperation that will lead to productivity and results. And so when you think about your boo, how is it that you can go in the office or in the bank or in the church house, or wherever you are in the community center, and have these kinds of conversations? Maybe you ain't doing them very well, but if you do them halfway well, how is it that you can give people the opportunity to share, to say something that might not make you feel good, to be vulnerable a little bit, and move through that? But you can't do that in your house. You know what I'm saying? Because as soon as somebody start talking, there you go, Naomi. Are you a road runner? You running them over. Wait a minute, but that's not what we going. That's not what it's about.
That's a really important point, y'all. That's an extremely important point. And I want to lift this up because, a lot of men, they come to us and they express that they don't put it in these terms, but what they emphasize is the fact that, like, I'm not expressing my thoughts and my feelings because there is no psychological safety. There is no emotional safety. I mean, if I open up and share what's on my heart and on my mind, then I feel like I might be shut down. I feel like I might be criticized. I feel like I might not be accepted. I feel like I might be judged. And so consequently, what I end up doing is internalizing all of those emotions and then acting those things out, whether it be inside the home or outside of the home. It's important. It's imperative that you create psychological safety in your house. Mm-hmm. And psychological safety doesn't mean that you make room for the person, for your partner to just share what's going on good in their life. Psychological safety means that you make room for them to share where they're struggling as well. Psychological safety means that you make room for them to express deviance, for them to express, any sidestep that they might have, any type of break from the habit or the patterns of behavior that they've been engaged in that have led you all to arrive at the place that you all are in right now. Psychological safety means basically allowing them to be themselves and making room for them to change. Are you doing that in your relationship? Are you creating that psychological safety? In this article right here, one of the things that's emphasized as well is that in terms of creating psychological safety, one of the number one facets of promoting psychological safety is cooperative goals. Cooperative goals. Mm-hmm. My wife and I, we get on here every Thursday, well, pretty much every Thursday, to do these live streams. This is something that we struggle around every Thursday, but we arrive here every Thursday. And so in that process and in that experience, we got to negotiate with each other, but we have a set goal in mind. Cooperative goals are ways or things that enable you to achieve psychological safety because you all are moving in the same direction.
Another example of that is that we've been really intentional, and we, sometimes we fall down a little bit and then we try to pull it back together about making sure that we really pay attention to our finances, and that we're really focused on looking at our habits, looking at the things that we can do better.
That thing ain't easy, y'all.
And that thing ain't easy, Lord, it ain't easy.
Hey, can anybody attest to the fact that looking at your finances ain't easy? Jesus, I want to see if anybody else has challenges, struggles in that particular area. And then we both have different ways and flows in terms of how we negotiate that thing, how we do that.
Right. I mean, from, setting a budget, sitting down, talking to each other.
Just having a conversation.
You know what I'm saying? Having a conversation.
Plan vacations.
All of that kind of stuff.
Planning holidays, birthdays.
I'm the person who, look, if we going on vacation, I'm not about to go on vacation and you talking about you got $20. You got $20 at the putt place, and you got $10 at the ice cream place. We got 5 kids. You understand me? If we gonna go, we need to save up the money that we need so that we have
$20, $4 a piece.
And this
$4 a piece.
This man right here be like, how can we cut the cost? You know what I'm saying? How can we cut it?
5 kids.
Why do we need to go to get ice cream? Why can't we just go to putt? And for real, we can just bring some balls from home. You know what I'm saying? And we can do putt. You know what I'm saying? So on our own. And so we're often kind of battling that thing because we both want financial prosperity. We want to be able to impact our community and the world, and we want to impact our family by having a legacy, and we want to be free. We want to be financially free. So we both have that goal. And so even though we struggle through it, my husband again said cooperative goals, that if you want to get to this place where psychological safety is something that you can we're good, you got to have some goals that you all are both focused on, that you both want, and that you both are equally invested into. And that is something that we're equally invested into. So we really make room for each other. And I challenge all of you tonight. I challenge you to really think about what is it that you really want in your relationship, in your family? in your life, and to really push yourself to cooperate, and to not just do it your way, to not just do it the easy way, which is to be solo. Because everybody knows, especially if you're in business, when you collaborate and when you come together, you automatically multiply your impact and your potential and, your prosperity. So that's the same for couples. So Number three,
y'all, and please share this video if you haven't already done so. Number 3.
Again, I'm sorry if you are listening and you just joined us. We're talking about teamwork tonight. We're talking about how it is that you can kind of look at whether or not you're a good teammate and what is required to be a good teammate in a relationship. Did you even know that a relationship is about being a team? It's being a team. It's not about you feeling good all the time. It's not about you getting your needs met all the time.
Hey, what's up, Marcel?
It's about being a team.
Hey, check out Marcel, phenom photographer. Check him and his wife out, Marcel and Yvette. I'm doing some phenomenal things.
That's right.
All right, number 3, y'all. Conflict and difference are essential. Conflict and difference are essential.
Wow.
It really is, y'all. So one of the things that this article lifts up is that too much cooperation can actually be dysfunctional. That's interesting, right there. Too much cooperation can be dysfunctional.
Have you been? Probably some of y'all, you know what I mean, and that's what we're talking about here, where you are so everybody just like, okay, yeah, that works fine, whatever. When she leaves out the room or when he comes out the room, and the reality is that we have to be willing to take a risk because cooperating all the time, signing off and being a co-signer all the time. That's not what it means to be a team. It doesn't mean cooperation. Doesn't mean that I support you and I'm just gonna be like, okay, I don't really get it, but I'm just gonna say it's okay. You are obligated to share what you know.
Yeah.
To say, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right to me. That doesn't sound like that's in alignment with our values. That don't sound like that really just makes sense. You can do that.
Yeah, and one of the problems with that is that it could possibly lead to groupthink. So my wife just mentioned a moment ago that you can find yourself in a space where you just acquiesce, where the assumption is made that, what my wife thinks is what I think is what she thinks. And we go in one particular direction where there's no agitation, there's no elevation. And so it's important that you actually agitate in the relationship by having conversation, by sharing your values, sharing your opinions, sharing your beliefs, because in doing that, what it does is it enables an opportunity for creativity to take place. And so you don't want to find yourself in a space where you're a yes man or a yes woman. I'm just going along to get along. You want to make sure that you're applying yourself in a relationship and sharing what it is that's on your heart and on your mind. You have a contribution to make. And so in that contribution, there may be some conflict, and that's absolutely okay. I know that if my wife felt like I was always saying yes to her, it would be a problem. If I didn't rub up against her, if I didn't agitate her in a relationship,
I don't know.
In terms of just going along to get along. Yeah, but you mentioned Master Nut a moment ago. You mentioned Master Nut a moment ago, and a part of that was based off of some agitation, some rubbing up against some.
Yeah, no, my feelings was hurt.
Yeah, they was a little bit hurt.
You knew that?
Yeah. I knew that. But in the hurt feelings, it allows the opportunity for growth, for connection.
Yes. I had too much wine. All right, go ahead.
So y'all, so it's important that you express what's on your heart and on your mind, and not find yourself, and you still drinking, and not find yourself in a space where again you're just going along to get along. If your partner only wants you to think like them, then they don't need you to be in a relationship with them. Nobody has the monopoly on perspective. It's important for you to contribute. Don't just nod your head. Don't just shake your head. Contribute. Open up your mouth and speak your piece, because it's definitely needed in a relationship. Yeah. Conflict is okay, y'all.
Woo, conflict is okay. So why does conflict happen? Why does conflict happen in the marriage? Why does conflict happen in a couple relationship? It's because we are emotional creatures. And even for those of you who would say, my partner is not emotional, they don't got no emotions. They don't never show any emotions. My husband has educated me over time about the fact that, like, as men, we have pretty deep emotions. You've told me that several times. We just don't express them in the same way, and we deal with them in a different way. But
we might not have words for them.
Yeah. But you're feeling them very deeply and very intensely.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing to remember about teams is that a good team is able to harness their emotions, is able to.
Is this number 4?
I don't know what number this is.
Yeah, it's number 4.
Number 4? Okay, number 4. A good team is able to harness their emotions, recognize what they're feeling, what they're dealing with, and they're able to put it out on the table and say what's going on. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, okay, again, I like to take the workplace and I like to just move it to the workplace. Like if you're at work, I don't know how many of you all have been able to be in this place. Like, yeah, I understand the goal. I understand what we're trying to get to. I know what my part is. I hear you. I'm just exhausted. I'm pretty overwhelmed right now because there's a lot of this out of my control and I'm doing the best that I can. And it's pretty frustrating. How many people have made that kind of comment? It's important to be able to say that because it doesn't mean that you're not there to do your part. But what it does mean is that there's some other stuff up in the mix. And if we don't acknowledge it and we don't see it and we don't say, what it is, then you're holding that stuff and that stuff is getting kind of built up in you. And so we are emotional creatures and we have to allow for the emotion. And some people are uncomfortable with that. If you think about the workplace, some people will be like, you say something like that, they'll be like, okay. So you're going to have a report on Friday at 2? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is all that about? Right? Like some workplaces are not like that. I will say in mental health, and we've been criticized in mental health for being a little too emotional. We kind of bring that forward, maybe a little too much sometimes. But what we are trying to pinpoint for you tonight is that if you do not bring forward your feelings in the team dynamic in your relationship, then you are failing. Yeah. It's not just about executing. It's not just about coming together. It's not just about supporting your partner. It's about saying what's really happening and what's really going on. And as human beings, we are emotional creatures. We go up and down. How many people get up in the morning? You're just like, I'm going to have a good day, and for the first 3 minutes, it's good. And then at that 4th minute, you're like, damn, that thing lasted all of 3 minutes. And I'm already irritated because people are not doing what they're supposed to do. So be real about that. If you, again, have psychological safety in your relationship, which is what we talked about earlier, then you all are much more able to receive the rawness and the realness of how you all are feeling. Yeah. I know this is the direction we're supposed to go in, but this is some, I ain't feeling this right now. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like my husband, this man gets on a Dave Ramsey tip. I saw Tanisha say something about she was going to be enrolling in a Dave Ramsey class. For those who don't know, he's a financial expert. And my husband be on his Dave Ramsey tip. He be sending me Dave Ramsey videos, and I come home, I come in the house, and Dave Ramsey stuff be up on the screen. This is not a promotion for Dave Ramsey, by the way. But he's a financial person. And I'm like looking at that stuff like, oh, this is great. And like right now, I don't feel like cooking dinner. I don't want to cook dinner. I want to order out. And this Dave Ramsey foolishness is getting in the way of what I'm trying to do right now. Because Dave Ramsey is known for saying, oh, you don't want to cook dinner? Well, who cares? Save the money and make the meal. I'm like, Dave, you come up over this joint and make the damn meal, okay? You know what I'm saying? So being able to express that, even though we have a shared goal of financial prosperity and getting on top of our finances, being able to be real allows a place for you all to be able to have a space where you all can ventilate, where you can let that stuff out. Because if you don't let that stuff out, where the hell is it going?
Yeah. So one thing that was mentioned is that the feelings that you experience, they build up over time, and so you tend to have like an emotional reservoir. And in having this emotional reservoir, it can either be something that serves as a buffer in difficult times and challenging times, or it could be a landmine. And so I'm curious to know, like in your relationship, the feelings that you built up over time, does it serve as a buffer? I know in our relationship, based off of the number of experiences that we've had, the range of emotions and feelings that we've experienced. We've developed a buffer in our relationship so that when we experience difficult times, we can. Why are you rubbing my nipples? You're like rubbing my nipples.
You were not supposed to say nothing. You said, how do you get out of the competition mode the couples have? Say some. What do you mean about that? Say some more about that so that we can speak to that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, stop. All right.
What are you talking about?
You're touching me. All right, stop.
I can't touch you.
You can, but stop.
I can, but stop. Very confusing.
So,
I don't know what's wrong with this man.
All right. So again, the emotions that you build up over time serve as a buffer. So are they a buffer that serve you positively in your relationship, or are they a landmine? And then you got so much pent up frustration and resentment that they end up being a landmine in your relationship. Boo, come on now.
What is wrong with you?
Really?
Talk, boo.
All right. Point out. Are we done with this point? You wanted Brian to share.
Yeah, go ahead. Go on to your next point. This is the last one, y'all. This is the last one for the night.
It's not too late to share. My wife, she is
Cheryl, you said
me.
wow. Wow. What you saying? What are you saying wow about?
Because you were rubbing my nipples.
You said.
All right. Number 5. I
was not.
You were.
Jeez.
Number 5. Number 5, y'all. It's important to recognize that when you're a part of a team, that you need to embrace flexibility. You need to be able to embrace flexibility at all points. Because if you decide to be in a relationship for an extended period of time, if you're married and you find yourself in a space where you just have this rigid way of thinking, it just does not work. It doesn't work, y'all. So it's imperative that you embrace flexibility as your modus operandi, because in doing that, what ends up happening is that you show that you're willing to adjust for your partner. You show that you're willing to make concessions for your partner. You show that you're willing to accommodate your partner. And in doing that, they feel better about themselves in a relationship. And so again, it's been a number of times in our relationship where I haven't necessarily wanted to, but I've definitely yielded to my wife, because I recognize that in doing that, what I'm doing is I'm elevating her, but I'm also elevating the relationship. So again, it's important that you yield in your relationship. It's important that you defer at times in your relationship, because when you do that, you operate from a space that it's not just about you, it's about the union.
Yeah, and we said this earlier, just in terms of this whole change piece, the fact that change is the only constant. You too. Change is the only constant that you will experience in life. Period. And a lot of times, just think about how much that happens with your life on a daily basis. How much of it that you really enjoy. What are some of the things that you guys enjoy on a daily basis? Is it getting your coffee every morning? You pick up your coffee? Is it getting up in the morning? I don't know. Does anybody make coffee in the house anymore? Does everybody go to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or whatever? You know what I'm saying? But these rituals that we have, what are some other rituals? I don't know. I can't even come up with the workout rituals because I don't work out. Well,
that's not a good thing. You said that joint too confidently.
I know it ain't good, but I want to give a shout out real quick. I see you, Sheldon. Welcome.
What's up, Sheldon?
I want to say this though.
BSU in the house.
I want to say this. I want to shout my husband out. This man, he wants to do a savage race. Is that what it's called? Savage?
I don't want to. I'm gonna do it.
Oh, yes, you're gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it.
This man is gonna do. What's it called though? Is it a savage race?
Yeah.
It's like if you all are into healthiness in our relationship, he would talk a lot about it. I don't really hear him talking about it at all. I just be like, where's Isaac? He be in that basement on that treadmill. You know what I'm saying? He's doing that work. And so there's certain rituals. Again, I like how I like to loop this thing. I try to stay focused on what the hell I started talking about. And what I asked you all before I said that, I said, how many people get up and you go get your coffee, right? I don't know. Do you make coffee in the house? Do you go out and get it? What are your morning rituals? Some people are smokers. You get in the car, you smoke that cigarette. I don't know what you do, right? But there's certain rituals that you have that give you comfort. And so where am I going with this? Where is Iyanna going with this? Where I'm going with this is that productive teams, whether it is a couple team whether it is your work team, they are adaptable to change. They know that change is going to happen. It is happening even without your awareness. The change is always happening. My husband and I right now, we can't give a whole lot of detail. We are in the midst of change. Aren't we, boo? I mean, in a matter of days, you know what I'm saying, there's going to be a lot of change to our daily ritual, to the things that we do, because I'm going to be in a different place, and it's a lot of change. Change is always happening. But how do you deal with that? You got to be willing. What you talking about? You talking about them all being in middle school?
Nah, some of y'all, followed us on our Facebook personal pages and know about the trip out to LA that my wife took with my son.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. That's a big change right there.
Yeah, that's a big change. That's really on the horizon. So
yeah, our son is an aspiring actor, our oldest son, and so he has some things in the works, and we're not able to speak about them. But what we can say is that it's going to be a lot of change, because it's going to be a lot of responsibility from us and a lot of things that we have to figure out. But if we don't have the concept, and not just the concept, but the strategies to team together, my husband and I. You know what I'm saying? Because we have responsibilities to our clients as we work with couples and as we work with families and as we do workshops and trainings and so forth. But he also has his own individual path, and I have my own individual path. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to be able to bring those things together in the midst of trying to support our children, to making sure that they have what they had. That's a lot, y'all. It can be really overwhelming. But you have to understand that teamwork is not just something like, there is no I in team. That's some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I need to get my needs met. He needs to get his needs met. And we need to, as a unit, be able to understand that there are certain things that we are working towards as a family that we have to get met. And I do have to fall back, and he has to fall back, so that the family can prosper, so that the family can move forward, that our children can move forward, that our legacy continues to build. But we can't do any of that. We cannot do any of it, y'all, if we do not make sure that we are always paying attention to kind of where we are, and if we're really, really about this teamwork life, if I'm really trying to be the wife that I know that I can be, if you're really trying to be the husband that you know you can be, what the hell is this that you are playing right now? What is this? I don't like this music. The music you've been picking lately is ridiculous.
Come on, man.
So I want to make sure we go back to Bryant, because Bryant is one of our regulars. I don't understand this music.
It's the Migos. Stir fry.
Brian said, I feel like in my home we bump heads too often on things. Maybe I'm not letting my wife take over at times. Sometimes we think the other party is not doing it correctly. Okay, so Brian, I want to say this. I don't know you. I don't know your wife. I don't know your dynamic. I don't know your home. I mean, I feel like I know you a little bit, Brian, because we be rapping on these live streams every Thursday. But for real, we don't, right? But what I will say is this. Anytime you can start out a comment and you can say, I feel like in my home we bump heads too often on things. You do. Maybe I'm not letting my wife take over at times. You don't. You know what I'm saying? You putting no caveats on it. Maybe I'm not. Nah, Mo, you not. You ain't doing it. Mo. You know what I'm saying? Nah, Mo. Let me pull from my children's vocabulary. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying to you is that's letting me know, Bryant, that what you need to do is you need to fall back. You need to allow your wife, and for real, I like the smiley face, Bryant. This is my man right here. You need to find ways to fall back, and even the fact that you say I'm not allowing my wife to take over at times. Do you allow me to do anything? This ain't about allowing nothing. You don't allow me to do anything. You don't allow me to do anything. Okay? So even that language, Brian, lets us know that, you're in the right direction, and you already know you need to cool it.
So help a brother out, though. So how should it be framed? Like, if it's not, I don't allow my wife to do X, Y, and Z. What's the appropriate terminology? Because I've actually used that in our relationship at times, and you checked me on it. You've corrected me. And so what's the appropriate terminology when I say give you space? When I'm attempting to give you space, make room for you, you said to me, you don't need to make room for me. Now, is that a chip?
I don't understand your question.
My question is, what should we as men say when it comes to making room for our wives? We're saying, when we're acknowledging the fact that we don't make room. A woman could actually take that personally and say, I don't need you to make room. You don't make room for me.
So I think I don't know if I'm fully understanding what you're saying, but I think that what you could probably stand to learn here is that see, because I've said this to you, like I'm not your child, right? Like so I don't need you to like do anything for me or like create a space for me.
Is that a chip? Is that a chip that women have?
So it may be a little bit of a chip. I think if we would be completely honest, my sisters, I need y'all to comment on this. Cheryl, Marjani, come on. Can I get a comment? I do think that may be a little bit of a chip, but rightfully so, because this is a patriarchal society we live in the United States of America.
But we want to make room for you. We want to create space for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's a beautiful, wonderful thing. And I am a victim of sexism in some way because I like that. You know what I'm saying? I like that you're making space. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But I guess what I'm trying to say is at the end of the day, and it would be better if we had like a concrete example, because we're talking real general right now. Mm-hmm. But if we had a concrete example, that would be a lot better. I don't exist because you make room for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get to flow or make my movement in the world because you somehow, don me or you make me exist. You see, so when you say like I'm trying to allow you to do something or I'm trying to make room for you to do something, like whether you make room for me, whether you allow for me to do anything, I'm already here, bruh. I'm already here. I don't need you to do that. So even that notion sometimes is a little bit sexist. It depends on the context. It depends on the situation. But in a relationship, it's very helpful and it's very needed. On again the context and the situation. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on what we're talking about. And I guess I would just say to men to be mindful and to be careful because yes, as women, and why the hell y'all ain't saying nothing? Why the hell is y'all quiet and shiznit right now? I'm just curious. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Cheryl said she was a whole
thank you,
person.
my sister Cheryl. I was a whole person before Reese. She was a whole person before her husband. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't need you to like do like I appreciate it and I love the love that my husband
gives. Sometimes you don't act like you
appreciate it. But at the same time, because see, you will never know what it feels like to be a woman and to live in a patriarchal society where somehow, some way, you give me permission to do things. Men give women permission to do things. Women are looking for approval. Women have to somehow, kind of get in the good graces of men, right? Like to live in that kind of reality, you don't know what it means to do that. So even when you are moving with your best intentions, and I appreciate it and I love it, sometimes I have to check you because I don't need you to make me me. And I don't need you to allow me to do anything because I am all by myself. You understand what I'm saying? All by myself. The same way you as a human being, you are who you are by yourself. Yes, we need to complement each other as husband and wife, but there is a dynamic that exists also particularly in Christianity. Okay,
so they're giving you
know what I'm saying? There's a dynamic that exists. It's like like the man kind of like take care of your husband, and the man somehow blesses the woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I just got to challenge that. Like, I love you and I appreciate it, but let's be clear. I am standing up on my own without you doing that. So, is there a bit of a chip? I don't know if I call it a chip. It's like my antenna is up, and I'm like, wait a minute though. Yes, check for me, boo. Check for me, because I love when you check for me. But understand that if for some reason on any day in any way you didn't check for me, I've already checked on my goddamn self. Because I'm all woman and I'm all that, and God is in me, and I am complete without a man. But I love you. Yeah. That's a good place to leave it, y'all. Look, it's teamwork tonight. Make sure that, look, Brian gonna say Chip. How you gonna just say Chip, Brian? Brian is gonna say, y'all got a chip. Well, you know, I might have a chip. Check for me. I want you to check for me. Okay, Renisha? Check for me. I love when my husband checks for me because this man checks for me constantly. But at the same time, that's what I want us to do as women. I want us to know how, like, check for me, protect me, take care of me. And I'm always checking for myself at the same time. You feel that?
I respect that.
You respect that.
Well,
that was better than the other night. The other night he did that, y'all. I said, please don't sing again in your life. We love coming to y'all on Thursdays, Relationship Thursdays. We hope to see you guys next week. Guess what? This stuff right here is some good stuff. Y'all leaving some real good comments.
Yeah, and please share if you haven't already shared. This was a good video tonight.
My Johnny said I was complete before marriage. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Do y'all ever see couples or people out here teaching about marriage and relationships? And it's like, I'm nobody without the relationship, and God done blessed me with the relationship, and I need it. Yes, I need this man. Not want, I need him. But before I ever needed him, I needed my creator, and I needed myself. And I am enough all by myself. Woo, I'm gonna run around up in here. Love y'all. We'll see you next time. All teamwork right, is the focus for tonight.
Yeah.
Teamwork.
We're gonna do some teamwork tonight.
Teamwork, but be on your own time.
Talking. Teamwork don't always require talking.
You're welcome, Stephanie.
You can execute without talking.
Bye, y'all.
All right, y'all.